My first guest has had their performances lauded as expressive and wretchedly moving by Opera News, a jolt of energy and lively by the New York Times, and soon they're to take the Metropolitan Opera stage in the title role of Porgy in Porgy and Bess, and the role of Dr. Grenville in La Traviata. I am pleased to welcome my good friend and colleague, baritone Kevin Short. Kevin, welcome to my first podcast. Thank you so much for doing this for me. I'm very excited.
Well, thank you for asking me.
Okay. All right. So let's get down to the questions.
Okay.
All right. First question.
Mm-hmm.
In your opinion, has the livelihood of the singing artist changed from 20 years ago? Has it changed for the worse or the better?
I think probably for the worst. If you're talking about here in this country, I think that the 2008 financial crisis has really had an effect on companies. And even those companies that have not, that were not affected, have sort of, in a way, I think, used that as a reason to not pay the same kinds of fees. I think there are far more companies with young artist programs, so they're using younger and cheaper singers. So it's leaving a lot of mid-career singers in the lurch. The larger companies are not as affected as some of the regional companies, but without a doubt, I think not just here in the States, but also in Europe.
Right, because you have the experience singing in Europe quite a bit. Okay, yeah, everybody's pinching a penny here and there. Gone are the days of everything being paid for. Your housing, your airfare, and you got a per diem. Let's talk diversity. You are also known for portraying other well-known operatic roles such as Zachariah in Nabucco, Bartolo in Il Barbieri e Sevilla, and Jack Rance in La Fanciulla del West. And in some productions, you are the sole African American in the cast. Does that affect you as an artist? Does it affect you personally? Do you see a change happening within the industry?
The long answer is I'm not really affected because I'm so accustomed, I'm so far in my career and so used to being the only. Once I left Morgan as an undergrad, then Curtis and Juilliard, since the mid to late 80s, I've been in the minority, so I'm used to it. And I think that's helped me as it pertains to going to Europe. Whereas a lot of Americans are not as comfortable, especially some of my friends who are good old boys, when they go to Europe. They're so used to being comfortable that when they go there and they're not necessarily catered to in the way they would be catered to in the States, they find it unsettling. For me, it feels like the same old, same old. So I'm not bothered by it. There have been some places that I've sung that outside of the theater, it may feel uncomfortable. But as long as I'm in the theater with like-minded people, it's been okay so far. Does that answer part of your question?
Yeah, the other part, do you see a change happening in the industry?
You know what's interesting? I think this 2019 has been the year, at least the summer of the Black Opera. You had Blue, you had the opera, Terence Blanchard's opera in St. Louis that received a lot of acclaim. And I think that if the business on the whole and the Met see some kind of financial payoff, there will be a change. And it seems to be that this is the year when people are sort of recognizing that there's a market out there and this is interesting, and we've tried it one way for so long and the business is still suffering. This is new and this is fresh. I'm wondering how long it will be sustainable.
Yeah.
Because I remember, and you probably remember, because you were involved in the Porgy, I was involved in Malcolm X's City Opera. And I have a feeling about those two operas. I think at X, at City Opera, we thought that this was going to be somewhat of a change. I think it scared a lot of people.
Because it did so well.
It did so well, and then, of course, you're talking more than 30 years ago, but to have us around in that space, there may have been a bit of a backlash, in some ways similar to what happened with Barack Obama, our president. All of a sudden, people thought, wait a minute, this may be too much. Because I'm wondering why it took 30 years for Porgy to return to the Met. When
Good question.
Was a financial, obviously even then, a financial success.
Right.
And sometimes our energy, sometimes what we bring to the table, if people aren't accustomed to it, it can be scary for a lot of folks. Change.
Right. Change is always
Change
scary.
is always scary.
Yeah,
right.
Always scary.
But I think we are more equipped now, and the country is a bit more evolved than 30 years ago. So we'll see. A bit, yes. So I'm hopefully optimistic. We'll
Good.
see.
I'm not.
You're not.
I'm not. I'm the pessimist.
But you know what? You have a right to be this. Look at the fact of the matter is that you have a president. The fact that he has done what he has done, talking about our current president, and yet he's still popular enough to garner that kind of support in this country. It's with all of the things. I mean, wherever you turn, whether it's 20 some odd women that are suing him, whether it's the young folks down there on the border, all of his minions that have been locked up. Can you imagine if President Obama?
Oh, please.
So that makes me wonder. We still have a lot of folks out there that need to evolve and need to be educated.
True.
And some of those folks are in our business, on the boards.
Quite a few. Quite a few. All right. Question number 3. Okay. Mephistopheles and other bad guys.
This is your 15-minute call. We have 15 minutes before we start. 15 minutes, please. 15. Thank you.
Okay, we can always edit that out. Mephistopheles and Other Bad Guys, your solo album. Why that title? Do you think the villains in opera get a bad rap? And which do you enjoy more, playing the villain or the love interest?
Okay, that's
All right,
three-pronged?
Yeah, 3-pronged question.
The first one was...
Yes, why that title?
Why that title? That had a lot to do with the producer, Pentatone, and those folks. And there's more varied material since I'm a bass baritone, low voice, and I play the evil guy oftentimes. There's a lot more material when you're speaking of devils and bad guys. So they were responsible for that title. And they're based in Amsterdam.
Okay.
So
all right.
I left that up to them.
Okay. Do you think villains in opera get a bad rap?
Yes and no. I mean, they... Not really. I mean, the devil is the devil.
Right, true. I think I want to rephrase that question. Let me rephrase the question. Baritones often play the villains.
Right.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. I guess.
Very few. I can only think of one opera where the baritone is the love interest, and that's Porgy.
And Figaro in
Oh.
Marriage of
Oh,
Figaro.
Figaro and Marriage of Figaro. Okay, right.
There aren't a lot.
There aren't a lot, no.
And there aren't a lot of tenors who are devils.
Right, true. Or the villains.
Or villains.
Yeah, very few.
Though that could be interesting.
Yes.
But I don't know if it's the timbre of the voice that lends itself toward that. So yes, in that case, I think we do get a bad rap, because I would love to play, to sort of piggyback on your third question, I would love to play more
of a romantic interest.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, you get to do that in Porgy,
in
which
Porgy,
is great.
I do.
Which is great.
Marriage of Figaro.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it.
That's about it with that one. Okay. All right. Question number 4. Okay. You and I have performed in more than a few productions of Porgy and Bess. Many of them you have been the principal Porgy, or you have shared the role, for the most part, evenly. In this production, The Met, that's not the case. You were contracted as the cover with 2 performances. As someone with so much experience in this role, why did you accept this contract?
Because sometimes at the Met, the hardest thing is to have your voice at the Met to sing. I figured even 1 performance or 2, as is the case this time, is better than not having. And I have, to this point, never sung a role there that will be as large as Porgy. Mm-hmm. And I've often said, if given a chance, if they could see what I can do, maybe that could make a difference. Mm-hmm. And so for me, it was sort of a no-brainer to accept it. Yeah, a long time ago. And Chris Montaliano said to me when I was a student that just getting into the house is a feat. And I believe that. Mm-hmm. And just to have the opportunity to sing a role like that, a leading title character, is something that's never happened. So that's why I accepted.
All right, good. All right. Now, surprise question.
Uh-oh.
Now, not much of a surprise because you had a choice of, you saw the whole list of questions that were given. Okay, your dating life. Mm-hmm. You're single.
Yes.
Single man.
Mm-hmm. How
do women you're dating respond when you tell them that you're an opera singer? And do you date, well, the question is, do you date outside of the business?
Yes. Right now, there's a woman that I started seeing.
Oh, do tell. Okay. You don't think about any names. Okay.
That I grew up with, actually, in Southern Maryland. Mm-hmm. She knew that I was a singer because we grew up in the same church. Okay. And I sang in the gospel choir there. Mm-hmm. But my history has been that they find it very strange.
Yes.
To see a brother in the business. Mm-hmm.
Strange in what way?
That it's off the beaten path. I don't. First of all, there aren't a lot of us.
True.
In the business.
True.
So if you say I'm an opera singer, oh, well, that's interesting. That goes for
that's true.
Yeah.
True. And they say, "Oh, I never met an opera singer before."
Exactly.
Yeah, that's that line.
Right. Mm-hmm. There's so few of us.
Right.
Yeah. So, and I'm an equal opportunity dater, so it doesn't matter.
What does that mean?
It means that it doesn't matter if
they're in the business or
right.
not.
Some people say, I mean, the advantages to both, because when we have to go away or we have to
someone in the business would understand.
Right. And someone that's not
has a difficult problem with that sometimes.
Especially if you're out of town and you're joined by your girlfriend, wife, or whatever, and they are flying to another city and they're expecting to enjoy and party, and you're there to work. Right. So you can't play Charlie Tourist.
Right. Right.
You know?
Right.
And I had that kind of scenario once.
That's too bad. Yeah.
But that's okay.
Well, I'm glad you're in a relationship. That's
Well,
nice.
we're saying it's the thing is, the fact of the matter is that it's relatively new with my schedule.
It's being a little difficult, become a little difficult.
Yeah.
But she knows. It's not new. Well,
Yes.
this situation may be new to her, but she knows what you do. She's known what you've done for a long time.
Right.
So
Right.
there may be that
Yeah.
little piece of it that'll a little saving grace there.
Right.
Yeah. But then again, fly them in. Fly them. Look, I can't play tourist, but I can fly you in, hang out a little bit. Once the show starts and you get those days off in between.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, well,
And it helps
for you.
if they're older too, because they don't.
Don't require much attention.
Right. They understand.
Right.
They're grown up.
Right.
Mature.
Right.
You do what you need to do to make it work for yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Kevin. I'm so excited that you've been my first guest on my podcast.
We've known each other for a minute.
More than a minute. But this has been wonderful. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And good luck in the Porgy. Unfortunately, I won't get to see it because the tickets are gone.
Yes.
They're gone. But I know I've seen you do Porgy hundreds of times, and it's going to be fantastic. I'm really, really happy for you.
Thank you, dear.
Yes. Well, thank you. And you have to come back.